Welcome back to Backroomconvos. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, aka Shoot Your Shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Cairo. On today's episode, we have a lot to talk about. I've realized on a lot of the episodes that we've had in a couple of days, they were more of like a venting session between me to you. I've been having those a lot, and I've appreciated a lot of those so far, and I think maybe today I should have one of those, but at this time I think it's not to vent out negatively, but I think I'm at the place now. And I know Friday I had a lot to say about whatever that happened in my life, and till this day I haven't spoken about it. In so many ways I did want to air it out, to just put it out there, and let people know what's what. And I didn't do it for some reason. I still haven't spoken about it. I still haven't told you about it, and I don't know why that was or why that is. And hopefully someday I'll get to why that has been the conclusion that I have reached without having the conversation consciously. I think subconsciously I have reached that conversation alone, but at the same time I'm like, why haven't I had that conversation consciously? But that's a topic for another day. I think the one thing that we need to talk about now, it's something that's been on my mind for the past 30 minutes. So on the past 30 minutes, I was thinking, I had a very interesting conversation with a very interesting somebody that I don't even remember their name, who their name is in this point. She knows mine, but I don't know hers, So we had a very interesting conversation, and I came back home around 8, fully inspired or empowered by the fact that I shared knowledge with other people or someone, because we had a very lengthy conversation about, a lot of things, concerning business, nothing personal, and I was like, at that time, I felt like the person is a very good listener, and at the same time, I felt like as much as I'm trying to be the speaker, I'm trying to also be the person that listens to the other person. And some days I feel like some people who are very smart are the people that tend to listen and not ask questions. But sometimes I feel like I have so much to offer that I have to be the one that's talking. I feel like I have to be the one that's talking, to say or to give opinions or knowledge or whatever I think, my opinions around certain subjects, of which today it was one of those days where it sounded like I had more knowledge from the person that I was talking with. He's like, yo, you're very knowledgeable about A, B, and C. I don't want to talk about those things out there. But he was like, those are the factors, or I see Uguti. This is what exists. It's there. So for the longest time, I felt Uguti when I enter conversation with people, and I'm the sole person that's talking in the conversation, and I'm not the listener. That tends to I don't know what the word is. That tends to stick with me after the person has left. It leaves me when you just completed a run and you're dehydrated but exhausted. Yeah, exhausted is the word. I'm exhausted spiritually. It leaves me very exhausted spiritually, because I don't know why, but it leaves me, and the thought of just not having anything in the moment, I'm like, well, I'm like, like I gave it my all, but it still doesn't feel like I did the right thing. And talking about like certain things about certain people, or certain things about certain businesses, or like, sometimes I feel that a lot, and I'm like, that kind of did like exhaust my like spiritually. That tends to like take a toll on me. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So that alone to me was like a conversation that was lengthy, and I was the one that's talking, and and I don't want to be that person that they always come into that room and they're the only voice that has to be heard. I want to get to a point where when I get to a room and say something about something, it's of substance, and at the same time have the balance of knowing when to shut up and just listen to other people voice out their opinions, and solve problems from a silent place, ask questions where you don't understand. And for the longest time I wanted to come from that angle, and I think for me it's been hard, it's been a process for sure for me to get to a point where I'm like fully in control of that, where I'm like, I don't talk, I don't, it's taking a lot, but each and every day I rectify it and try and build. But at some days like today I'm like, oh, that conversation was, worth it, what I was saying was worth it, and I feel like it gave value to what we were talking about, given that I feel like I had experience. I don't know what she knows, but I feel like I have more experience. It made me feel like I had more experience. And given that the person was even asking questions, and they were asking the right questions, and I was like, damn, like I admire that. I admire that from people who can like literally keep quiet, listen to the next person speak, and they ask the right questions, and like, oh, okay, so this, okay, I'll be the one that's, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, bro. Like, that's amazing. That person is amazing, bro. Like, and shout out to her, man. I had an amazing conversation that, got me to the conclusion about, life. Sometimes I feel like wherever I am now, that's not what I always envisioned for myself. There's always an end or vision for everything that you do, So I feel like in the very moment, I feel like I'm not where I am, but the situation is reassuring that Lesego, you'll get there. It's reassuring, Lesego, you will get there. Sure, I'm getting the assurance, like, so like I don't know how to explain this, but I'm getting reassured by the process which you are getting there. Whatever work that you're putting in, either be the podcast or that or this, or I can't disclose everything that I do, but that alone, it shows I'm achieving, I'm building, I'm going somewhere. I stay committed, and I'm not there yet, but the feeling of knowing I might be there tomorrow is the one feeling that I have now, and I'm like, it's so nice. There's no, it's like the calm in the eye, like so much is happening and so much is not happening at the same time, and I'm like, it's the calm in the storm. If you know a tropical cyclone, you'll know what it is. In between a tropical cyclone, there's something called an eye, so within that madness, there's that place within that cyclone that's so calm, which is the eye of the cyclone. At the same time, I feel like that's what's currently going on in my life. There's a lot of things that are going, I won't lie to you, a lot of things are going on. There's a lot, I can't disclose. I do want to talk about it, but I can't disclose. I can't, there's a lot that's been, happening, and it's chaotic, and I have to learn to balance, to learn this, to do that, to talk to him, to, it's a lot, and at the same time to sit down and be yourself and, focus and do this and do that, like that alone, it takes a lot. And people who can juggle that, it makes sense for someone like me to have a notebook to sit down and write all these other things. It makes sense, because why? So that's one reason, right? That's one reason I'm like, guys, this is the moment to be alive for me. Because I think when you have struggled as much as I have struggled in life, moments like these where you don't have anything but just the process is talking to you, spiritually, it's just reaffirming, yes, you got this, it's a voice, I don't know, it's a voice in a feeling, it's a voice in a feeling that you're grateful for, but you also don't understand why you are that grateful. So with that thing, that's what I'm going through, and I'm like, ooh, I don't have it, but the situation is reaffirming that you're done. Whatever it is, done. Keep on pushing that. The direction, we don't even know, because in this moment we have someone, within the audience who is A, B, and C person and has A, B, and C opportunity. We don't know that, but there's that feeling, guys, that to feel reassured, yes, this thing is yours, reaffirmed, or whatever the word is, that's what I have been feeling. And I didn't want to speak a lot on the podcast about everything. I know there's a lot of it, there's always a lot that's going on in the world. And the second venting, is it the third or the fourth venting session that I'm having with you? And then this moment, it's just to show gratitude. Because I know the first venting session that we had, which was on Friday, it was, it was from a place of hurt. It was from a place of understanding. It was from the place of I am moving on with respect, and from the understanding and the maturity that I have. It was a dignified negative energy, or a place to be in. It was, he's down but he's not out, and but he's keeping a level head. There's no bad talking with other people or whatever the word is, there's no that, but it just became a conversation where I came in, I spoke to you guys about everything, the feeling and everything that I'm going through. And I even was speaking about the matriculants, man, I was even speaking about that. So the third one, I feel like when necessary, I'll always cut whatever content that I have for the day, just to have a moment with you guys of reflection, of speaking about personal life, how to balance, how to do this, how to do that. I think it's necessary for even anyone to also know how to balance between work life and private life, because those things don't mix. And sometimes people mess it, it tends to overlap. You mess it up. You want to be at work when you're with your kid, and when you're with the kids, you want to be at work. The issue of presence is another thing, So I don't know what I've been talking about, but I closed my eyes for a minute and I forgot what I was saying. But that's the point, I can cover the story by Kanye if you guys like for the next minute or so, because it's already 15 minutes, and that's how long I intend to keep this episode for. We didn't have the song of the day today, but I think it was intended for this episode. It's a venting session between me and you guys. We are headed towards 100 episodes. We faced challenges, and here I am, after the work that I put on today, and I'm still here talking to you guys, the content for the love of podcasting, broadcasting, I'm here. So that, at the same time, knowing the money, you're not getting paid, but you still wake up, you still show up, being consistent to reach whatever goal that you have personally. For me, it has been the huge, or the highlight of the moment for me, and I appreciate it. So to everybody that's been with me, been with the pod, and I appreciate you for listening, because knowing that you're listening, it is also an extra push to me to know, there'll be this person listening, and A, B, and C. I could cover Kanye today. I think let's just go through a rundown. I know yesterday I was supposed to speak on some of the topics that I had been speaking about. For instance, the Namibia versus South Africa is one of those things that we were supposed to talk about on the later on episode yesterday, but we didn't do that because I didn't pitch. I was very much tired. But some of those things I need to be realistic, which I have to balance. So I'm learning about balance in the new year, future endeavor, and we're all about the bag, winning. I'm all about that, and I'm all for that. And I'd like to thank everybody that was listening to this 16 minutes. How many? 16 minutes, 5 seconds episodes of today with Lesego M in Backroomconvo with Lesego M. So yeah, shout out to all of you. So the car, we could have, obviously spoken about Kanye. We could have been talking about Miss Morgan. We could have been talking about we could have been speaking about the suspension of Tristan Thompson, who is a baby daddy with the other daughter, the Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian, and he's being suspended for 25 games for violating the NBA anti-drug program. So he's been what do they say? He's been suspended for violating that. So he's suspended for the next 25 games. I don't know how basketball works, how long that is, but it seems like it's very long. Shout out to him. And I know there's a lot of people who are going to for sure jump in on that. They say, yeah, it's the Kardashians, the kids, those people. Sometimes whatever they're talking about, it's tempting that when you listen to it a lot of times when you listen to it, you'll realize, snap, I'm the same as these people, because they plant seed these people when they talk about these celebrities. But you believe them, and you will believe them if you listen to them very much, So Milli Vanilla was found dead at 82. So I don't know what's the story behind that, but I'll just see if I can find something. The former musical groups Milli Vanilli and Boney M, both iconic for different reasons, have died. The German singer, songwriter, and producer family confirmed his passing on Tuesday. Frank died peacefully at his home in Miami apartment. His death comes 2 years after he underwent a life-saving heart valve replacement surgery. He got pig heart valve inserted in his chest because his own had shrunk with age. In his last interview in November 2023, he gushed her new heart valve was working wonderfully and told the German paper Blade he was grateful he had a good pigeon in me. I don't know, so it's a quote unquote a good pigeon in me. So despite the claims of good health, contrasting reports say his condition has deteriorated after the procedure. He lost a lot of weight and had to use a wheelchair and breathing equipment due to lung issues. Having those heart issues is not easy, my guy. It's the security guy. It's this guy, is it a security guy or Vanilla Manila? Frank, the real name is Frank Fryen. That's how you call it. So yeah, those are the basic stories that we have what's going on? The pronouns. Okay, so those are like some of the stories that we had for today. And I wanted to also like talk about the actor that got, jailed for firing a live gun on the acting scene, and he was supposed to check if that firearm is not actually a real firearm, but he ended up shooting a person. So now he went to jail to serve, so yeah, that's what's been happening all around the world. I'm your host with the most, Lesego M, aka Shoot Your Shot. Maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy. Like I will rest me tomorrow on another exciting episode of Backroomconvos with Lesego M. Please do not forget to follow, like, and comment to get a notification for each and every time we drop a new episode. Cheers.